Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Devil's Advocate Trades Edition on our segment Hard Hats and Hard Truth with Michael. Hi, Michael. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Tired today. I did not
I'm
sleep very
fucking
well.
tired too. Like
Oh,
I
maybe it's like a
talked to
full
you.
moon or something.
Yeah, there's supposed to be something going on. And they're like, if you're Aries placement, you're going to be a right bitch.
I
And
don't
I'm like,
I don't
oh,
know what
well,
that
that's like
means.
every day.
Am I supposed to know what that means? Like this horoscope stuff? Am I supposed to know this? I don't know
it's,
this.
it's astrology. Listen,
Astrology. Yeah.
Red probably knows. Just talk to
Mm, True. Yeah, maybe. When I'll ask her.
her. Okay.
Lot to
So
unpack.
sorry, go ahead.
Lot to unpack. Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack. So I did a podcast. So I did the podcast on Friday. You were the producer on that. It was a great podcast. A lot of cool things came of it. I did a follow-up podcast yesterday that you did not produce. And so that's been launched and that's on right now. And there were lots of things that I was talking about, but I didn't want to, I would have went super long if I kept going on and on. I just kind of wanted to recap what I did, kind of say that everybody's entitled to their feelings and their experience is their experience, their perception is their reality kind of thing. I'm not going to diminish anybody's side, but that I'm kind of biased a little bit based on what I'm seeing. That anyone that I've met in trades that has problems inside their company, unless they really want change, or unless they're open to it, they're like, I'm doing everything right. Fuck you. It's everybody else's fault. They're all after me. I'm the victim. Do you know what I mean? Like they're very,
Oh yeah.
yeah, they shift the blame and then they kind of throw the victim card out. And males are really bad for it in the high ranking positions. They're like, oh, I didn't do that. That's that guy. And it's like, why are you coming at me? And I'm like, oh, are you okay, little sensitive Sally? You got a feelings report?
Yeah. Yeah. I will say I don't get an overall good vibe, mostly because of the representation, like the public facing representation I felt was definitely skewed. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not judge, I'm not jury, I'm not executioner on this. But I hate when something like that goes public and it feels dirty, like it feels muddied. And that was, I
Sorry.
think, the thing that was bugging me the most. Oh, we have, boop. Are we in a submarine?
Listen.
Like, I just feel like Red October, like, oh my gosh, there's somebody coming for us. Oh, we picked up something on the sonar.
We've just been recorded. No, I was trying to turn up my volume discreetly and then it wasn't discreet.
Nailed it.
Fuck.
No edits on that. No edits on this.
I'm gonna go get my tinfoil hat. I'll be right back.
Right. It
No,
just,
I
I
mean,
don't know, felt ugly. Just feels
yeah,
ugly.
yeah. And that's something that I kind of said was that you were going to come on because you had opinions about it. You and I have both been owners of, in construction realms. You and I have both dealt with complicated and difficult clients. You and I have both dealt with difficult subtrades and difficult GCs. So we've seen all aspects. And that was something that I talked about yesterday was that disputes and conflict are rampant. And so I think that what I would have really liked to see on CTV is talking about the disputes that go on inside of industry. That this is a really great example of the type of disputes that can come about. This is a civil matter, and this person feels wronged and the other person feels wronged, and that just comes down to miscommunication. Because whenever you have miscommunication, for me, what I find when I talk about miscommunication is a lot of times someone's not listening. Someone's not giving you all the information and someone's not listening, right? It's like everybody wants to protect all the information. I do agree that there are certain things you don't say. Like, like I remember I had a vet and they wrote out, like, they were so elaborate on their bill that I was like, maybe don't do that. Because I know that I can go get a syringe because they did like when I had a bunny and they were like, the syringe was like $32 and then the medicine was 68. And I'm like, a syringe is like $2. There's 1,000% markup on this. Maybe let's not show that. Maybe let's just show that the medication was X amount of dollars because now I'm going to tell you that I'm not paying that for a fucking syringe. I have an argument now. So that's where
Or
I'm
then,
like,
what do
less
you do
is
with
more,
things
but
like,
more is more.
how do you do with that with like lumber or say HVAC equipment or plumbing where you're like, there's markup on material that exists in construction,
Yeah, but does the
right? You're
market
like,
make
I could just
sense?
go to Home Depot and buy that. Of course you can. when it doesn't come with the labor, it doesn't come with the warranty, it doesn't come with that type of stuff. Like I liked the itemized bills when I was doing it of like, here's the raw material cost, here's the labor. Definitely got me into hot water because it's like, then you're just rationalizing your time all the time. And I mean, I wasn't a flawless contractor. I had clients that hated me. I've had clients that still have ongoing problems and I still have to deal with them. And it is what it is. It's the nature of the business.
Have an answer for you because I
Hmm.
talked to Todd about this because I was like, you need to change how you do things. People want to understand. So in construction, I was like, when you're going after the money, when you're chasing the money that you need, especially in today's society, Michael, it's contractors are running scared because they go out and they buy all this shit, they bring it to your house and someone goes, fuck you.
And then what do you
What's your
do?
recourse?
A
You're
lien.
out that money. That's material, right? So most contractors want material paid for. They'll fight for time if they have to. They'll, do whatever they need to do. Some just fucking write it off and walk away, but they will. Time is something that's an easier swallow than material because you're out it. So what I said to Todd, and I said, listen, it's how you frame it. And I said, people need to hear key sentences. Hey, I've just picked up all of your material. There's a 10% markup on it for sourcing, delivery, and pickup because that's what you're doing. And I'm dropping it at your house. Please have the bill paid within X timeline because it's yours. It's now owned by you. And I'm like, most people aren't going to argue that. It's material. So I'll tell you right now, Todd is paid in full for the material. Why? Because it's installed and it's in my house. I own it. Time is being paid once the inspector is done and passes it. Then
And that makes
time is
sense.
being paid.
That makes sense because that's the labor portion,
That's right.
right? So I think if and that's something we talk a lot about is transparency, right? If you increase your transparency, because people are worried that, well, then you can start shopping around. If you're really that worried about it, maybe get a better salesperson, or your communication style is perhaps a little bit weak with clients on educating them that I break it down this way for transparency, which should lead them to want to get that transparency from your competitors, who will probably not give it up, thus leaving you with very little or no competition.
The other thing I talked to him about, because I want him to be a good contractor. He doesn't seem like he's a shady asshole, if I'm being honest. Like,
I don't get that. I don't get that vibe at all. No.
yeah. And Michael, he opened up his books. He sends me into a house that's got deficiencies. I mean, I sent you the pictures. I'm like, what the fuck is he
Yep.
doing?
Right.
I'm going to tear
Well, we
this
all we
guy
all have
apart.
bad subs. We all have bad employees, right? We've talked about the snakes in the grass where you think they're really great because they send you all this stuff that looks perfect. So you don't think you have to check the rest of the stuff. And if you don't check the rest of the stuff, which is not good, that's why they didn't send you the pictures or give you the updates on that. You have no idea.
But he's all about wanting to be better. He's like, what do I need to change? I can change these things. And so I loved when I talked to a lot of his clients, even like his happy ones, that had constructive feedback. And that was something I said on my podcast that launched yesterday, was that was a great thing, right? That they were able to say to me, like he had one client, and this is where I think that there's always there's always room for people like me to exist inside of all of the construction spaces because there's so much misunderstanding. Most people don't understand construction. They don't understand the phases, they don't understand the timelines, they don't understand. So when I'm talking to somebody and they go, "Oh, well, we signed a contract in October and it's April." Well, everybody takes that and goes, "Holy fuck, that's so long." And I'm like, "When were permits,
Right.
approved?"
Right.
Well, permits were approved February. Okay. Then you're right on par.
Yep.
We're at
Everybody well, we live in a very fast, like instant fulfillment
It's
society
not
that if it
fast.
doesn't happen right away and you're
Can't
like,
build Rome in a day.
nope, nope,
And then I sit there and I say, okay, so you've got permits you got to wait for. Then the permit is released. Then you got to do framing stage. That has to get passed. Then you have to do plumbing stage, electrical stage. They all have to get passed before you can move to the next step. And that depends on how quickly inspectors can get out there because your municipalities are governing whether or not you can move forward based on building code.
right,
They're making sure that everything is done to building code, especially when it comes to building envelope and when you're going into the basement portion, because then you've got windows have to have proper egress. There's so many things to consider. So I know people that have called in inspectors and some inspectors can't get out there for 4 days, a week. You're
which,
sitting.
but then there's the other side of it, right? Because then you're into timelines, right? Client timelines and contractor timelines, right? Where, so say for example, I have stuff that's already booked, right? So say I have my company, I have stuff that's already booked already with other clients. I give this swath of time for the inspector. The inspector can't fall in that timeline, so they go into another timeline. I now have to take that time from another client to go over there to deal with the inspector because they're only available at that time. That other client that I've now had to basically shirk my responsibilities there gets upset because stuff's not happening. They don't understand that, like, you're not their only client, right? If you're a contractor, you probably have multiple clients, multiple people, a bunch of thing up in the air, right? And you're hoping things are going to land perfectly. You can plan as best you can, but it's gonna happen. You're gonna have delays. Very rare do you have a project where you say, "Hey, this is my Gantt or my layout of timeline that it falls perfectly." So rare,
Mhm.
right? Or
Agreed.
clients just saying, like, "Oh, you can't be at the house this day," or I can't be around this day," or they forget the keys, or a lockbox breaks, or whatever. Right?
I
These are
think
all things that add to the timeline.
well, you drop the word, Gantt, so Gantt
Yep.
charts.
It's
And
hugely important. I don't care how big the
not
project
everybody
or small
uses
the
them.
project. Right?
Sorry, not everybody uses them, but you know what? It might be better if people started using them and posting them on the doors. So owners can say it'd be like Gantt chart. So you have like framing stage, electrical, and then it has a stop and it says waiting on inspector. And then it has like the portion of what's completed in frame stage complete, waiting on inspector, inspector complete, moving on to, and then it shows them on the Gantt chart because you can put all those little notes inside of the Gantt chart.
100%. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you can have all that. You can send it to them via email, but I would say post it to the door because when they have a question and you're not on site, they can go down to the chart and look at it because you can put it in a plastic sleeve so that weather doesn't take it, tape it to the door, and then they can see where you are. And it's like, oh, we're waiting on inspectors.
You can even make it easier. You can create a Gantt inside of Google Drive, for example, right? Inside an Excel spreadsheet, share that drive with the client that they can log in anytime, go have a look. It's free. It will cost you nothing. So all
Mhm.
those little updates, all those little headaches, because then when it also, like, you in your Gantt, you could put notes inside of there. So reason for delay. You could put your change orders. You can mark your change orders. So when you're doing framing and they're like, oh, actually, you know what? Maybe we want to coffer the ceiling. You could put added coffered ceiling, attach your invoice to it right inside the Gantt, all that type of stuff, and you could really clean it up if done correctly. And technology is there that anybody can learn this. I don't care whether or not you barely can use email. You can learn to use this in a weekend.
I agree. But what I'm saying is that, like, for me, it's a do both. Send it to them so that
Right.
they can see it at any point, but then also
Yep.
post it on the door. Because if they come out and they're like, oh, I haven't seen him in a couple days, they don't want to fiddle with their phone if they're going out. They can just go
True.
and look at the chart on the door and
Yep.
go, okay, they're waiting on inspectors. Right? And inspectors they're all over the city, right? Everyone's got a project. Inspectors are not, they don't there's not a like a small amount of work they have. They're looking at multiple homes a day. They're dealing with builders, they're dealing with new home build, they're dealing with, you know what I mean? So they're out all the time. They're driving all over the place. If you can get an inspector to your home within 24 to 48 hours, you're doing great.
That's amazing. Yeah. Like, I mean, you kind of have to guess ahead of time. You kind of have to be like, okay, we're getting close to being
Yep.
ready for inspection. You
It's
almost
usually when
need
you
to
put it
book
in.
it then, right? And
Yeah,
there's one little caveat I'd like to put in there is remember, inspectors are just as fallible as everyone else, right? They have to know a lot about the building code. They're going to miss stuff the same as your contractor missed stuff. And I've also had inspectors saying you need to do things that's actually not in the building code, right? So they can't actually cite the reason why they want you to do it, but they want you to do it anyways, and you end up stuck doing it because if you don't pacify the or pacifier the inspector, it's not getting passed,
that's right. It's
right? And
true.
that's
Yeah.
so. I mean, there's more to unpack on that side of it, but I don't want to knock inspectors because I mean they're given so much to do in such little time that like what do you do? I mean, you can't have an inspector for every single thing everywhere all the time. Be
And
impossible.
like you said, inspectors miss things too. They're people. Like if we're being straight, it's people. Everything is people run and people generated. And so nobody's perfect. Sometimes, you know what? That inspector might have looked at fucking 25 homes that day. You're his last one and he misses something and gives it a pass. And then all of a sudden there's a problem. And he goes back in or she goes back in and says, I didn't see that that was a problem. This is what I looked at. Because a lot of times, though, Well, they have all their notes and what they're looking at, and some of them will take pictures and whatnot. And there's people who are honest and have integrity and be like, "Oh, you know what? I noticed that when you were here, I actually didn't have you didn't have a chance to take a look at this and this. Here's a picture of it before, here's a picture of it after." And inspectors will be like, "Oh, thank you." But a lot of people don't want to do that because then they're like, "I don't want the inspector to be like, what are you calling me out for not doing it?
Right.
You calling me
Right.
out for missing it?" And it's like, "No, but I just want you to know that it's done so that if it ever comes back, it'd be like, no, this was done. Here's the pictures. They
Yeah.
were sent
Like
to me."
I've had that happen where, something gets passed and then drywall goes up and then the inspector reaches out and goes, actually, I looked through my pictures and now you're ripping out drywall. It happens. It happens again because
Mhm.
we're all people. But like
Yep.
you don't hear about complaints from contractors about that, right?
Mhm.
It's just because we talked about this. Like, where do contractors go when they complain? Put a lien. That's it.
They
There's
do.
there's
But
nowhere else to go.
here's the other part of that coin, Michael. And this is where I want to talk about with you. What happens when you have contractors that dog other contractors? I
Ooh,
understand we're competitive.
yeah.
I understand that there are contractors that don't pay their subs accordingly. I understand that there's contractors, like there's a list, but what does that mean for people? I mean, nobody's hands are fucking clean. I can go on to any website, look up any review for any contractor, guaranteed they have a minimum of 2 people that were pissed off. Minimum. So nobody's fucking hands are clean in the sense of you think that you're above board, but you're gonna go shit on a contractor or shit on a sub, but you've got 5 fucking bad reviews and he's only got 2.
I can make a suggestion for that, and it's a personal thing,
Mhm,
and I think it's for that clarity and just openness. Is if you get a bad review, don't take that discussion anywhere else with that client. Keep that thread going until it gets to resolution. Right on your Google. Right. So they go to your Google or website or whatever, or Homestars or whatever, leave you a review and you can comment and you can go back and forth. You say, listen, let's keep this conversation straight up in front of everybody and let's have this conversation right here.
mhm,
So for example, if in this particular situation with Todd's business, if she had gone to Google and left a bad review and Todd said, well, actually, here's all my paperwork, there would be no news story, right? There just wouldn't be one, right? It's
mhm,
somebody who was mad that the price ballooned, but still paid the bills. So that's kind of confusing,
mhm,
right? But then just suddenly just nixed it right near the end.
mhm,
Just that always makes me feel a little suspect. But I mean, if he's like, perfect, I've got all the paperwork, I've got all this. Granted, there were some mistakes that he could have made a little bit better on his paperwork, whatever. Which again is in that podcast. Highly suggest you go watch it to see the other side of the story. Like check out CTV News, watch the story on their news thing, read their article, then go watch the podcast and get the full thing. Right? I don't want to weigh somebody in a yes or no situation on either side of it because I don't know. I wasn't there. Right? I have no idea. All I can do is just take the information I have and go, okay, that's the information I have, and go. At the end of the day, I actually don't care. It's between two individuals.
yeah. Well, that's
Figure it out.
exactly
You're
what I said.
adults. Figure it out.
Yeah. We weren't there. We don't know. It's a he said, she said at the end of the day. Make up your own mind. But I think that there's a bigger problem inside of industry on this basis is that conflict runs so rampant in it. And so I talked about like creating a rating system on both owners and contractors. Contractors have rating systems currently. But what
Yeah.
if we did it on both? So then when they go into their municipality to get building permit on an owner, there's a fucking thing that comes down and has like a list. Owner rated 2 stars, had problems with these trades, can't disclose issues, but they're a 2 star. Could be non-payment, could be conflict, could be. So now all of a sudden the trade is going,
But then what are we then what are we becoming? We're becoming that social justice thing. Like I think there was a Black Mirror episode where like everybody's ranking everybody, and if your ranking gets so low, you're basically ostracized from society. Like, do I really want to do I really care what somebody's opinion is of somebody that I've never met? Do I care? Not really.
fair. But then when you're dealing with something like this is a perfect example when I'm like, well, cool, if we're going to go like this way, then let's start having a rating system on both sides.
Right. But then do you
As
get
a
into the point
contractor, don't you want to know who doesn't pay? You going to come in with like $10,000 worth of equipment and put everything down and do all the things you need to do? Oh, look at that. Our timer. And then all of a sudden it's, they don't pay you, but you could have
right.
had, if you had a rating system to know that this was a person that didn't pay 3 other contractors, maybe you would have went in cautionary. You would have went in with can you pay me 50% upfront for material? Can you pay for material?
what was it? I don't want to misquote, but I think it was Bill 69. That was looking to be passed in Canada. Was it this one? January 1st, two major legislative acts. Anyways, there was a bill. Anyways, there's a couple of them that have been
Hmm.
passed in other countries. So when a contract is made between two parties, right? So say if you're the owner, right? Like so the client who's hiring the contractor, there's a contract that's properly done where the money is now paid, and you now have a lawyer that's in between. So kind of like what you do, right? Whereas you're like the go-between to make sure it gets done, and you're essentially mediating the whole thing. But which means when the contractor finishes, there's no choice but to pay, right? Because the money's already there. Because I've had it times where like you get a project done, and they're like, "Oh, I can't afford it." You're like,
Get it?
"Why
So
did
the
you
money's
hire
in
me?"
trust. Is what you're
Yeah,
saying. The money's
yeah,
paid in trust, and then it gets released accordingly.
yeah. So I mean,
Oh,
that's all the contractors really care about, right? Like, I don't care whether or not I like you, dislike you. I want to do a good job and I want to get paid,
yeah.
right? And so if you don't do a good
I'm
job,
not
you
making
don't
friends out of
pass.
this.
Yeah, no, like, well, I mean, you do sometimes. I mean, like, there's been clients where I go to their weddings, I go to their birthdays, kids'
Well,
stuff,
of
like, blah, blah,
course,
blah.
but that's.
Yeah,
I mean, that's to me, everything is energy, right? That's like your guys' energy meshed, and you guys did really well. They were happy with you. You were happy with them. You guys can. I mean, that happens. Friendships come out of a lot of different areas inside of our lives, and
on that
sometimes
heaven.
it comes out in clients. Sometimes it comes out in workers. Sometimes it comes out in different areas. But for the most part, we're not going into the job to make friends. That's a
Right.
perk.
Yeah, sure
That's a
is.
good fucking day.
Sure is. We're like, I can just go in, do my job, and it's done. That is ideal.
I know contractors are like, I love this. I love this place because every time I go here, she always makes me lemonade and, offers us something to eat. And you don't want to know what I'm going to tell you something. Any woman that does that or any male that does that, mostly women that do it, I know
Mostly
because
women.
I do it.
Mm.
Okay. Whenever I had contractors in my house, I made them lunch. So if I had contractors that were going to be in my house for more than 3 days, I made them lunch and I made them a home cooked lunch. Why? Because people are like, oh, well, why would you do that? And I'm like, because if you understand male psyche, I'm like, guys love home cooked food. They don't want to go to the burger joint. They want somebody to give them home cooked food. It's also an appreciation. It's also saying thank you. I appreciate it. You're in my home. But for me, it's productivity. Now they're not gone for an hour. They're sitting in my
Absolutely.
home, shooting the shit, having a chat with me, eating within half an hour, and they're right
Instead of
back
an
to
hour
work.
and a
Their
half, because you
belly's
got to
full,
go
they're
there, you got
happy,
to
and they're
eat.
appreciated.
Uh,
Right? So people will be like, oh, that's sneaky. And I'm like, it's not sneaky. It's psychology. I want them to know that I appreciate what they're doing. I want them to eat well and have the proper energy to do it. But I also don't want them to leave my site and be gone for an hour. Even though they're entitled to maybe an hour, I would like them to finish it sooner than later. Guess what? Because when they're done at 2:30 on the Thursday, when they would have had to come back in on the Friday and not be done till like 2, now they're done on Thursday at 2:30 and they're gone.
and everybody
On to their
wins.
next thing.
Yep.
Right? So I'm helping everybody at the same time. And I also get a chance to get to know them a little bit because I sit down and have a chat with them.
Which is good, because I mean, it usually increases pride and workmanship,
Mhm,
right? So like, I mean,
100%.
like, you can choose to be hands off, and sometimes that works really great. Some, hands in works really, really great. Maybe that's not the best way to phrase it, but well,
Fucking wow, Michael.
uh, but like making a meal, right? So like, I mean, I always look at it as like men are dogs in a good way, right? You feed them, you pay attention to them, you tell them to stay, and if they're good, they will do that, right? And that's it. Like, I say it
Did you
with
see that?
pride. Like, I'm a dog. I say it with pride, 100%. Right?
Oh,
Pet
Michael,
me,
you're a
feed me,
good
pay me
boy.
attention, feed me,
Who's
done.
a
Good
good
boy. Haha.
boy?
That's it. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm good. Right?
There's that trend that they're like, okay, good boy. And you should see guys, their face just goes like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's kind of confusing because we're all of a sudden like, I am?
I know
I
I'm a
think
good
that's
boy.
the
You don't need to
confusion.
tell me. I'm a man.
I'd take good boy. Sure. It's fine.
Sometimes us women just got to keep, men on their toes.
True.
But yeah,
True.
but I agree with you. I think that there's always something
I think
better.
putting the trust in place, and I think that's something that literally it takes the contract out of the equation. Because then that also means change orders are done correctly, which is quite often the biggest gripe and the biggest issues, like scope creep and that type of stuff, that we've often talked about, right? Is take that off the table, right? Let's just completely take that off the table. Where it's just like, okay, now it's signed, it's done. You put some in between. There's checks and balances. So when it's passed, it's paid. It's passed, it's paid.
Yeah.
right? And that's it.
Agreed.
So now you don't have to worry about it, which is the major part of this story, right? And if that was there, which the government of Canada, you have the capability to do this. It's in other countries, you can do this, but you decide not to do this over and over again. Why not just make it legislation? Then it's done. And everyone has to do it. It's like the safety stuff. Why is that not legislation? The HR stuff. Why is that not legislation? These are easy things to do. But instead, we're focused on all this other crap that means nothing. But
Hmm.
we're talking about building Canada and build Canada back stronger and blah, blah, blah. But you're not putting any mechanism to make sure that that happens. Because these small companies that are really the growth factor of Canada don't have the big lawyers that these large corporations do. And that's all we're talking is about big infrastructure. And that's the only thing that they work on and protect. They don't care about the
Yeah.
independence,
Yeah.
which they could.
Yeah.
You don't
I
think
don't
those trust
disagree.
contracts exist at large scale things? Of course they do.
Yeah.
So just make it
I agree.
legislation that everybody has to do it. Protect both sides.
I agree. I think that like that's what I'm saying. I'm just throwing things out there, but I think it's funny that you like were like, I think there was a episode on like Black Mirror. I think that's fucking hilarious. I don't watch
It
this
really
show.
was. Yeah.
I don't
Watch
watch
that
that show.
episode and decide whether or not you want social justice to be.
It's not even a matter of social justice. It's just
It
something
is.
out there so that everybody. But what you're saying makes way more sense to have something where there's the legal in between that basically says all your money goes into trust and it gets released accordingly.
I would say that something like the city could handle like the social justice side of it. So say for example, because homeowners, I mean, they're not renovating their basement every 6 weeks, right? They're not doing this construction every couple of days, right? Like contractors are. They have a new client like at least once a month, once a week, whatever it is, once every 6 months. But like if you're a homeowner that gets a contractor complaint at X amount of contractor complaints to the city within X amount of time frame, you now get red flagged,
Yeah.
right? So
I
if
think
you're
they have something
consistently
like
about
that
that,
in Alberta.
do they?
I think so, yeah. Once you've got so many fucking complaints, I think there is a red flag system. I just don't know how they maneuver about it. I don't know all the inner workings or the internals of the city of Calgary or city of Airdrie, but I'm pretty sure they have. I mean, Alberta's pretty pride driven, so the last thing they want is someone running amok,
Right, right. I
especially
mean,
when they've got inspectors that have to deal with them. And inspectors can be real. I mean, they're people. Oh,
people.
you piss off an inspector one too many
Oh,
times.
no good. That's why I said
Have
I
fun.
not to knock inspectors. Right? 'Cause, I mean, they go
It's
out there
not
and
knocking
they do their
inspectors,
best job.
it's showing their
Yeah,
human side. You piss off an inspector one too many times, you disrespect them, you don't follow the rules, you don't go to code, guess what? You're not gonna get passed. You're wasting money, you're wasting time, and your productivity goes to shit because you can't move to the next stage until you get that approval, get that pass. So you're pissing off inspectors left, right, and center, and you're not doing your work up to par. And I mean, like, if we're being honest, there's some inspectors that are like, "Oh, I'm dealing with this fucker."
well,
And then they'll walk in, look around, and be like, "No pass, fail." And meanwhile, the guy could have done everything like another. He could have been. He could have passed the same thing on somewhere else, and then he might call out the inspector and be like, "Well, you passed this. Why aren't you passing this?" And he'll be like, "Read my notes."
yeah, or like a conditional where it's like, hey, do this, send me a picture, rather than do this, rebook another appointment, right? Which that's going to impact your client,
Yeah,
right? That's going to
people
impact
will
your
say, "Well,
timelines and
yeah," but
expectations.
people will say, "Well, inspectors are supposed to be impartial," but they're still people.
Oh,
And
come
if they're
on now.
being abused in some way, shape, or form by a contractor, I'm not going to lie to you. I get a little spiteful too. I'd be like, "Fuck you, fail."
Right, right. Well, he clearly didn't learn from the last time, so or
I mean,
just you're
I'm
just not a nice person, right? I mean,
but
being
but
nice
this is
does
where I
go a
agree
long
with
way.
you. To have the red flag, to be like to red flag it and be like, do we issue building permit for this guy because now we have to go out and inspect his shit and he's a real asshole.
But that again, that would mostly fall on the contractor side. That's not going to really fall on the homeowner or the
True.
condo owner or something. There's no way to track that. There's no mechanism to track
Right.
their
That's
failure,
my problem.
right? Like
I'm like, there needs to be for
imagine leaving
both.
your own Google reviews for a client, right? So when a client comes on and they leave you a 1 star, whatever, write a review on them. Like that's your response is here's my review in rebuttal to your review and keep that conversation going and actually hopefully get to some sort of resolution because those keyboard warriors out there that whether they're right or they're wrong, I don't know. I'm not that type of person. If something has to be really, really bad for me to actually go and deal with it, but that's usually because I've tried to reach out to the business or the establishment as an adult, right? And handle my stuff because it's my stuff with the establishment or my stuff with the client and it should be one-on-one. And the moment it goes to somewhere else, that's where it gets messy. That's where it gets murky. And then it's
I
not
agree.
worth
But
it.
keep your emotions out of it. Try and stay professional as possible. Just give facts and because I mean, it starts to get emotional, and then everyone gets triggered, and then it's he said, she said, and then it turns into like it's just massive trivialities, and I'm just like, I don't care.
Well, that's something that we talked about was something that like, and I'm hoping to convince you to do more of is be open to like going to contractors and say like, hey, if you're a contractor and you're not sure whether or not your paperwork's good and up to snuff, maybe it's worthwhile reaching out and saying, hey, like, can you do an audit of my internals because you just did that audit and there was massive changes that need to happen. And he's taking them on to make himself a better contractor, to protect himself because you've been on the owner's side, so you know what the owner wants and what the owner needs and what the law requires, right? Which is the biggest one. And a lot of people don't do it because they don't know, right? They're really good at building stuff. They're really good at creating things, but they don't know the office side. They don't know the paperwork side. They're not an accountant, right? They're
Mhm.
not a bookkeeper. They're not that person. They build stuff. They create things from nothing.
It's true, and I mean, I started out doing that to try to help the trades,
Mm,
and then I got burnt too many times, and I
right?
was like, but then what happens is because I worked so hard to build my name inside of reputation to represent the owners and help the trades be better, that when these people decided that they were gonna fuck me over, all I had to do was say, "No comment, I'm not coming," and then they just self-imploded on themselves. Because then clients are like, "Well, I don't wanna deal with someone who's not going to," because I that was something I said, "You have to maintain that change. You have to want it, and you have to maintain it. It's not me who makes or breaks your company, it's you. I'm the resource to help you with that change. It's a suggestion. You are paying for a professional suggestion. Whether you do it or not is not my problem. It's your problem. If I'm going to be the investment to help you be better, then honor the investment. Otherwise, what's the point? Why are you throwing
Exactly.
money?"
Well, that's what people do, right? They do that all the time with any consulting in any
Yeah.
business, right? Like I
Yeah.
work in the other side of it, like in the digital side. And like I can make all the suggestions I want. If they don't do it, I don't care. I don't
But
care because it's not my business.
fair.
I really don't care. If you're not
Yeah.
going to go do it, you paid me. I give you all the homework I call it. And if you don't do it, not my responsibility at that point. I wash my hands of it. I don't chase you. I don't do it. It's your company.
And I'm the same way. But what people also have to understand is because I am incredibly ethical, that if I find out you're being unethical and people come to me, they have to remember I know the reverse coin. So if I've worked alongside you to help build up your company and given you all the tools in order to do that, and you decide you're not going to do that and try and fuck over somebody else and they come find me, I'm going to give them the crack code. And people are like, "Well, that's dirty." It's not dirty.
It's not
I
dirty.
gave you if you wouldn't be in this predicament if you actually took my advice and did what you were supposed to do. Now you're gonna try and hurt somebody else. My ethics get the best of me, and I say because I'm highly ethical, and I go, "What did they do?" And I need proof. It's not just, "Well, this guy did this to me." Okay. It has to be
Okay.
proof.
Yeah.
And once I get that proof, it's gone. And I'm not giving any trade secrets. I'm not talking about, intellectual, property. I'm not talking about anything like that. It's just, this is what's going on. This is how you attack.
When you don't, it's no longer ignorance is bliss, right? Because they've been given the information.
That's right.
So you can't plead ignorance when you've been
Right.
told, fix this, do X, Y, Z.
Yeah. So I'm just helping people. And it's like the same thing with HR. If I go into a company and give you all of the HR, and then you decide you're going to screw over one of your employees and the employee calls me, I give them the crack code on how to deal with that. Sure, no problem. They're fighting you on this policy. Here's the laws behind this policy. This is the way you're going to maneuver. I wrote that policy, so I know exactly how to break it.
Every time you say HR, I immediately think back to that comment on the women in trades thing and just get so angry. So angry.
Okay, we're like so overtime. We got to go. And I
Yeah.
have to I have
Okay.
to run away. I have to go do vitamins.
Yeah. Go do stuff. Go do stuff.
Good stuff. Okay, everybody, thanks for joining us this week on our Hard Hats and Hard Truth. And thank you, Michael, as always. I love that you're my co-host on this. And
That's a
everybody, you
pleasure.
guys have a great week, and we will catch you on the flip side. And don't do anything crazy.